Welcome back to Andertons TV.
Good day.
Today we are diving back to 1983, where the music was amazing, the haircuts were even more amazing, and the shoulder pads were just the most amazing thing you've ever seen, ever.
That's a lot.
Yes, because in 1983, the wonderful people at Roland introduced the SDE-3000 rack mount delay unit. Designed by, imagine how young and fresh-faced he probably was.
Oh man, he must have been gorgeous.
Yes, Yoshi, our friend from originally at Roland.
He's still gorgeous though, sorry.
He is
He's
gorgeous,
still
absolutely.
tall, gorgeous man.
Was part of the engineering team that designed the SDE-3000.
Yeah.
This
Amazing.
rack unit became a mainstay in studios, but I think particularly guitar players were using them live for recording. And we're talking players like Steve Vai, Steve Lukather.
Yeah. This is iconic. It's an iconic machine, isn't it?
It is iconic.
Do you think kids these days, if you show them this, like you show them a cassette tape, they don't know what it is, and you show them this now, it's like I don't know what that is.
I think rack
I've seen
will
it on
come
my.
back.
I've seen rack come back. I've seen it on my plugin.
Absolutely.
On my plugins. Anyway.
So anyway, SDE-3000,
Yeah.
it's been discontinued for years and years and years. You can still pick them up on eBay and Reverb for sort of reasonably sensible money. However, the guitar players, if you want, it's a mono digital delay with a bit of modulation there. So if you want to use, if you look at all the guitar players that were using these in stereo, they would have had two of these.
Yeah.
And, let's be honest with you, most people aren't using rack gear anymore. We've gone over to the world of much more compact kind of pedals.
Yeah.
And the SDE-3000D is a new product from Boss designed to emulate the SDE-3000, but in quadraphonic. So it's not just a stereo SDE-3000, it's four SDE-3000s in one unit.
I love the design of it.
Yeah, I rather like a bit like you. I think
it's like Velcro shoes.
As
it's
a
like
user
Velcro
interface.
Shoes, isn't it?
Yeah, although
much easier.
the iPhone has moved us all onto touchscreen and all.
Yeah.
There's something, there's something reassuringly familiar about some of the old-fashioned ways you used to have to sort of edit these machines to get the sound you like. And of course, Boss have tried to sort of, retain some of that. So anyway, in that first bit you heard Pete playing, guitar goes into some drive pedals on the floor and then into an AB box. We split the signal. One signal goes into the SDE-3000 and then out into our DP-40, and the other side goes into the SDE-3000D and then into a V140, and we've tried to voice both amplifiers to sound as similar as possible. What did you think? I mean, before we're going to basically now just focus entirely on using the new pedal in stereo.
Yeah.
But before we do that, do you have a...
Before we do that, I would like you to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because we have to remember to say that. And if you want to use timestamps, you can do that as well. Honestly, they feel similar, they sound similar. It's difficult. I'm sitting far away from that amp over there, so it'll sound a bit different for me. But I think the sound is super duper, super close. It might be, I know it's an older unit, so the bit rate is slightly lower. It's at 12 bits or something. So you got a little bit more of a vintage, crunchy type thing in the delay, but I think feel-wise.
Yeah, so that's the original SDE-3000 was kind of like a half analog, half digital processing sort of unit, or like signal path, if you like. And of course, you know, the digital signal processing back in this days would have been significantly less powerful than now. So you've got that sort of 12-bit processor, and you kind of hear in the delay that crunchiness that sort of occurs.
It's a bit rate thing.
Obviously, now this is the new one is completely digital with a much more powerful processor in it. But of course, what it's trying to do is emulate the sort of the older sound.
Yeah.
There you go. You make your own decisions. In here, I don't think there was a particularly discernible difference in the sound.
And there's not a bad sound there. I mean, this was a Dane into these two units and then into the amps. I had a DCX boost as well from Origin Effects.
By the way, we will talk about this one later in the video if you're interested.
First rules about Heavy Van Halen.
Okay, I'm just going to literally repatch this so that we're now just going into the 3000D and using it in stereo. So, although the SDE-3000D is ultimately trying to emulate the tone of the SDE-3000, in terms of its features, it's much more sophisticated, as you would imagine a modern delay is. So 2 stereo delays, 4 delays essentially happening and simultaneously if you want them to. We've got MIDI, we've got tap tempo, as well as the control function, which allows other things to happen. Yep,
you've got a volume control, and turn it all up and down.
A lot of these features here are designed to emulate features that were in the SDE-3000, which we'll come to. But what we have got is 128 presets as well, which obviously you wouldn't have had on the original one.
Yeah.
As we showed you, or as we talked about before, you know, the kind of how you would use this is very, very simple and very much taken from how you do the 3000. I think what I want to do in terms of just playing with the sound is just scroll through some of the presets, just see what sort of Boss have done rather than trying to create our own. But what I will do is I will show you what each of these different effects type buttons do. So the modulation, filter, feedback phase, delay phase, all that kind of stuff. Is it worth showing you? I mean, yeah, these 2 buttons here are simply just toggling between the parameters of delay 2 and delay 1. So anyway, Pete, let's just start with we'll start with preset number 1, which actually is the preset we were using at the beginning.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. So I can do this. I think we have to do lots of stepping in this video.
It's so funny, isn't it? Don't you think that...
Sounds like a delay.
But isn't it funny how early delays, whether they were tape echo or early digital delays, never ever perfected the kind of the crystal clear repeat of the note. There was always some sense that the more it repeated, the more the character of the note changed.
Yeah.
And you sort of think technology moves further and further forward. Surely the idea would be to get to the point where the note was just crystal perfect. But now we're going, oh no, actually I liked it when it was...
But don't you think that's maybe they were trying to recreate the tape sound back then into digitals, and the tape sound wasn't crystal clear delays. So maybe that's what they were trying to do. I don't know.
Maybe.
We need Josses to tell us if that was what they were trying to do. I don't know. But it is kind of, it is.
So here's a slightly longer delay.
I mean, it sounds like it's a good delay. I love stereo.
I've just, you know, you read my mind. Stereo delay is just epic, isn't it?
Oh, some modulation on this one. I'll just put a bit of drive on there.
Obviously, you've got trails on here, so, you know, which I'm guessing the original one probably didn't do.
Happy trails, hands. Oh, so how many have you got there? How many?
Well, you've got 4 in bank A, 4 in bank B, but if I keep just scrolling through the parameters, I will eventually go into C and D and and get to 128. Interestingly, the delays on this are. So again, we talked about 4 delays. You've got the option on these to run the delays in parallel, which I'm guessing is the sort of the most normal way. You've got the option to switch into series, so you can have delay into delay. Or you can use wet dry, where you can do it so that the wet signal comes out of one of the outputs, dry out the other one. So it's quite, again, very versatile.
And can you also, and you can also have, so you got 2 delays, but they can, on each pedal, right? You got 2 delays here, 2 delays here. You can have different tempos on each of the delays on here, and then each of these could have a different tempo. You can essentially have 4 different delay tempos going on at the same time. So there's a lot to, once you dive into this, I can imagine the possibilities are endless.
This is the first preset that we've actually heard both delays running at the same time. And again, if you flick between these 2 readouts here, you can see we've got a 500 millisecond delay on the first one,
and a 250
millisecond delay on the second one. And the first one is modulated with the filter and the delay phase on, and the second one isn't. So
it's clean. So it means you get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you get every second one you get a modulated,
slightly fuller.
Yeah.
That's
nice, isn't it?
That's like literally, this is like 80s delivered. What have we got here? Okay, so this is the same idea. So the second delay is half the time of the first delay, but it's a little bit longer.
Got that random modulation.
Okay, so this is flipping it round the other way now. So it's the first delay is the shorter one and the second delay is the longer one. Oh, I see, and they've got the feedback on the shorter one by the looks of things. at different levels as
But you'll
well.
also be able to set these different ones at the times, which this doesn't have. So you can have like four quarters or fourths or eighths and also stuff. So I don't know if these are set like that, but you can hear there's something going on here. That.
Did you just order pizza?
Pizza. Why? What?
You just did the pizza lick.
Almost. It was just a slice. It was just a slice of the pizza.
What have we got here? Okay, so this is...
Sounds good, man.
This is the first one where the second delay is not like 50% of the in sync.
Yeah.
So this now we've got 530 milliseconds on the main delay, and then a really short. I mean, I'm not even 35 milliseconds is not. It's even shorter than sort of slapback, isn't it? It's well, it is that. So you've
like
got
a
like a
pre-delay
slapback and a regular delay going on here.
It almost gives you this kind of chorusy, phasery kind of effect. It's the metal tin can thing.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I don't know. The other sort of famous rack delay one is the Korg one.
Yes.
And I'm not sure, and they'll often talk about, all of the U2 stuff, the early Edge stuff.
Which one did he actually use? You don't know that.
What made me laugh was as soon as you started playing the Andy Summers kind of thing, you go, was that an SDE-3000? Was that a Korg? And maybe it was something else, I don't know. But there's all these sort of iconic 80s kind of delay sounds.
Oh, look, so you can have one off. Here's the... Hang on, wait.
Oh, sorry.
Go back to that one.
Okay.
And then you can turn that off and put that on. So you got the two. Wait for it. Mick Taylor says wait for it. So that's actually a really cool idea. So if you have this on your board, you have two different delays on there as well. It's like having two... I didn't think about that till now. Silly me.
Okay, so that was the first 8 presets. I think that's although there are more presets in there, I think they just start to repeat themselves over and again. They're for you to kind of fill in when you buy this.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just literally look at some of the buttons that are on here. So there's a filter effect which applies a kind of an EQ filter to the delays, which again is just a feature off of the SDE-3000. So here's without. Crazy subtle.
So you can hear it, crazy subtle, a bit more on the low end.
I think it's filtering out some high end, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can hear a different on the low end. Subtle,
Very subtle.
Subtle.
The times 2 button simply goes from wherever you were to twice as.
Yeah.
So modulation, turns the modulation on. I'm just going to crank the modulation up just a tiny bit so it's a bit more obvious. It's a heavy modulation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bit, but I like it. How heavy does it go?
If you let it go on too long, it almost feels to me like it pitches away too much. But when you're just playing,
it works better
all the time.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice musical modulation.
Yeah.
The 2 phase controls here are flipping the phase either of the original guitar signal, the delay phase, or the repeats, the feedback phase. Again, pretty subtle. It is easier to hear with the modulation on. So if you play, and I'll just... Wow.
It's subtle.
So subtle, isn't it? I mean, again, these features are taken off of the original SDE-3000.
Yeah.
So I guess half of me is a bit like, they're so subtle, why bother putting them on? But then the other half of me is like, well, if it was on there. And maybe, again, different guitar players with different presets layering them up,
Absolutely.
particularly maybe when you're getting into more of the stereo stuff.
Maybe some
it makes a bit
drives
more
on there, you
difference.
can hear difference, you know.
So they're the basic buttons. What have we got on the back here?
Yeah.
We've got now the expression pedal inputs. You can run this with other foot controllers as well, and then you've got stereo in, stereo out.
Yes.
One of the sort of party tricks, if you like, that this can do that you absolutely would have done if you'd have had two SDE-3000s back in the day for your stereo rig, is to fractionally change how each side is delaying. So we're starting with a standard 500 millisecond delay, but we're going to separate it so that one of the delays becomes increasingly longer, but only by a few milliseconds, like maybe less than 50 milliseconds. So the initial delays, the human ear is probably going to perceive that as coming out at pretty much the same time, maybe with modulations. But by the time you're down to the sort of the third or fourth repeat, you've got this sense of a slightly wider. So anyway,
wide. I like wide.
That kind of introduces a different kind of character to this, which I like. So at the moment, this control where my finger is here, or this number where my finger is the difference between the two delays. So it's only 1 millisecond difference. So you're not even gonna, it's not even audible. And you'll see as I increase this, you'll hear the difference in what Pete's playing. So maybe if you could just play some sort of ambient chordy kind of.
I'm getting a bit seasick here.
Yes, it's much
It's
easier
offset.
to hear. You might not use it as wide as the 70s.
Try
but you,
to go as wide as I can. Let's see what it does.
well, I mean,
just want to see.
so there's two different ways you could approach this. You could, of course, have delay 1 at 500 milliseconds and delay 2 at 700 milliseconds. Completely, you know, so you've got the, but this is staying within delay 1 and literally putting one side at one speed and one side at a fractionally different speed, just to create that sort of wider effect. Like you say, it gets a bit seasick, I think, if you go too far, doesn't it? But look, so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the SDE-3000D. If you're watching this video on the day that we released the video, it's because this is the day that Boss have announced it, and they should be in the shops ready to buy today, which is very, very cool. In the UK, this has a list price of $449.
Okay.
However,
However,
let's talk about the other famous, another famous user of the SDE-3000. So back in the day, Van Halen was using a wet, dry, wet rig. So he would be going 3 signal paths, SDE-3000 on one side, SDE-3000 on the other side, dry in the middle. And the SDE-3000EVH Edition has a slightly different set of ins and outs on the back. I'll pop this one on top of here so that you can kind of see them. So you'll see not only have we got here now a send and return, which is kind of funky, we've got an extra output. So you can emulate that kind of Van Halen setup. I know all of you.
You have to have 3 amps.
Yes, you've obviously got to have your 350, 150 stacks. The other thing, which I kind of think is cool and also a little bit naughty, so there are some Van Halen presets in here. And now obviously what you would normally be able to do when you're going through the parameters is see what they are, so you can just share them on the internet and say, hey, you don't need the Van Halen one, here's the settings. Except, of course, they don't come up. They just come up as EVH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
so don't
8, 9,
delete
10.
them.
So, yeah, so you will only know if you've got the secret source Van Halen settings if you buy the Van Halen version, which is a little bit more money as well, of course, but links below and you can find out where that is. Comes with this cool kind of Van Halen stripes.
Sure, there'll be some videos out there as well.
There's bound to be somebody ripping it up, doing their finest Van Halen impressions. So there we are, SDE-3000D,
cool.
Another cool throwback to a time when everything was better, but now in a pedal rather than an enormous rack unit. So
I like an enormous rack.
Right,
left.
Pete's going to play out. We've set up everybody's favourite kind of stereo dotted eighth note ping pong mega thing going on. So this bit is definitely worth listening with headphones on.
Everyone loves a bit of ping pong. I've got a ping pong table.
Especially in the 80s, it was big, wasn't it? Right, okay.
Are you this kind of player, or are you that kind of player? With your ping pong, do you play that way or that way? I
definitely like a nice backhand technique.
Do you? Like backhand? Are you that flick? Okay. Well, what are you? Comment below.